All right, we are back on Trojans Live. Jordan Moore, John Jackson, and the offensive coordinator of the #2 offense in the Pac-12, T. Martin. It's going to be a showdown. A #1 offense in Arizona against the #2 offense in USC. And T, maybe coming off your best game offensively. I mean, there were some other really good ones this year, but what did you like that you saw against Arizona State?
The execution. I thought the guys came out with a mindset that we were going to commit to the run the ball really well, and make our plays in the passing game, and not shoot ourselves in the foot. You know, the story all season has been we're a really potent offense, very explosive offense, if we stayed out of our own way, whether it was a fumble, pick, miscommunication, not making a play. And I thought Saturday night the guys made plays. You know, Sam was on fire, Rojo was rolling. The offensive line did a great job of protecting the quarterback, opening up some running lanes for Runner and Vi and those guys. And ultimately, when you can do that, you get a rhythm. And I felt like our rhythm was going. We were able to sustain some long drives and put the ball in the end zone.
You know, I want to expand on that because that was one of the keys I saw in the game that I talked about during the broadcast was when the Trojans get in rhythm, the tempo gets up.
Right,
and as that starts to progress, it becomes much more difficult for the defense. How much are you keeping your eye on that type of stuff to say, hey, look, you know, this is the time and when to step on the gas, and what is the indication of that?
Well, that was part of our game plan going into the game. Last week we worked on more tempo plays during our team run periods and our periods against the defense because we knew that they didn't have a lot of guys to substitute. You know, they had about 13 guys in their rotation, not a lot of defensive linemen, not a lot of linebackers, and if we can wear those guys down, we had an advantage there. And so it was a mindset going into the game. It was part of our game plan to go faster. But you got to make the plays. You got to convert third downs, and you got to run it and have balance. And I thought we did a good job of doing that.
Yeah, I want to talk about that balance because you started the season running the ball really well. I mean, you put on a show against Stanford. And the sense we got, and you know better than anyone, was that defenses – sort of corrected and said, you know what, maybe this team with their young receivers, we'll force them to throw and we're going to try to take away the run. I mean, how much has that been the story of, hey, we need to actually pass to loosen up the offense to get Ronald back the ball? I mean, have defenses changed the way that they played you after the beginning of the season?
Yeah, we've seen it all. You know, and first of all, coming to a season, if you're a defensive coordinator, you can't, and you know coming in you got to face Sam Darnold and Ronald Jones. First of all, you're saying we got to have a plan for Sam Darnold, whether it's pressure, whether it's whatever it is, make them one-dimensional in the run game or passing game. And so we saw it all. We saw teams commit to stopping the run, teams that committed to dropping 8 in coverage to force us to hold the ball and create sacks and things like that in the passing game. What's been good was that early in the season, like you said, we weren't making all the plays that we can make in the passing game, whatever the reason was. You know, we studied it. We came back. We had a message for the offense of the things that we need to get better at. And the guys got better. You know, Tyler Vaughn's emerged. Stephen Mitchell emerged. Deontay Burnett has been consistent. The tight ends, getting the tight ends involved. Tyler Petit has been really big in our passing game all season for the most part. Stephen Carr early in the season was a big push for us there. Getting the ball out of the backfield would be great. Hopefully to get him back, get Daniel Motabebe back in the mix. But we're starting to get the balance that we want to have. You know, it was around this time last year we started hitting the stride of being very balanced, making our plays in the passing game and the run game, and hopefully we're getting there now.
You know, Sam obviously didn't get off to the start that he wanted, not necessarily from his play, but the turnovers or things were going wrong here. They're not all his fault, but you know how it is as a quarterback, you know, being a former quarterback, it's always your fault if something doesn't go right. How have you managed that part of it for him? It maybe through personally and also through your play calling.
Sam has been great, and when he comes off the field after a mistake, you know, he's the first one to be hard on himself. And you can almost, when you're talking to him on the phone, he's already like, I know, yeah, I saw it too, you know. But he likes being coached hard, and I like him competing though. So it's kind of this fine line because having played the position, you don't want to get to a point where you're so hard that the guy becomes gun shy. And then those plays that are there, he's scared to pull the trigger, don't want to pull the trigger because he's scared to make a mistake. I don't want to take that from him. Sometimes you got to live with some of the stuff that comes with that, but 90% of the time we're putting our hands up if it's a touchdown or a big play. And so we just continue to preach that message of taking care of the football, not throwing it to the other team, holding on to it when we're in trouble. He's so competitive. At times they get you, and just make a good decision. He had a few the other night where they got us. He threw it out of bounds, and we moved on to the next play. And so as long as we continue to do that, I think we can be really great on offense.
Yeah, and it's funny because I mentioned that on his throw to Tyler in the end zone when he threw it over one guy in front of another guy.
Yeah.
One guy who should have knocked him out. The other guy.
It's a pick. It's a pick. Touchdown.
Right.
It was one of those moments.
And those types of things, I mean, he can make those throws. That's the problem is that he can make them. And then that would have been the same throw that people would have been booing him if the guy would have jumped 6 inches higher or, those types of things. It's really that much of a fine line when you watch it, right?
You're right. I don't think they're ever going to tell LeBron to not shoot three-pointers, You're going to mix some. You're going to make them. You're going to win games with some of them. Sometimes you're going to lose. And I just don't want him to lose his aggressiveness and his ability to pull the trigger. He's doing great.
Coach was talking about this being a team game on Saturday. And I'm wondering, as a play caller, when you go into it, your job is to focus on the Arizona defense and scoring as many points as possible. But when you know that they have such a potent offense as they do you take that into account at all as you go into your strategy offensively?
Oh, most certainly. I really – one of the first things I do on Sundays is watch the other team's offense and watch how much they can score, how good they are. And I know our defense because I see them every day. I kind of can go into a game knowing what the capability of the other team is and therefore understand what we need to do as an offense to win the game. For instance, Stanford this year, I understood what they were up front. Bryce Love, that offensive line, if your defense is on the field for a long time, they're going to be successful. They are really good. So we wanted to make sure we converted third downs, have long drives, keep our defense off the field, but also score. And that was the difference in that game. When we're able to do that, play great special teams, win the battle of hitting yardage, which is field position. Most of the time we win those games. And, yes, it's a team effort. It's something that I think about. I know Clancy does. You hear Clancy on the headset say, run the ball, keep the clock ticking. And Baxter, I thought the punter and those guys did a good job on special teams getting us great field position in our game on Saturday.
Another thing that I think that you've done an outstanding job this year was managing through the injuries. I mean, a lot of people don't realize you lose 3 offensive linemen in one game, then you have to start to make adjustments on the fly. How much has it been – first of all, a challenge, and how much and what are the adjustments when those things happen? Do you say, hey, look, the next guy up is you're still a USC football player, the same demands are on him, or do you have to scale it back a little bit, understanding that you have some youthful players playing?
Well, first of all, I want to give those guys credit for stepping into key moments unexpectedly and performing for us. And each and every time they've given us an opportunity to win the game. And so I give them credit, first of all. But as a play caller, as a staff, we know the issues that presents. Some of those guys had to play in positions that they didn't practice in that week. You had to put them in there and plug and play. So it does affect you. I thought the guys went in and executed to the best of their abilities and to give us a chance to go. But I can't think about it every play. I can't say who's in at this position, who's in at that position. The scheme is a scheme. We got to call our plays. And ultimately, I have to have trust that they're going to get the job done. They have to have trust in me that I'm going to give them the opportunity to get the job done. And we just have to let it go and play and try to win the game.
Big chance on Saturday to do just that. T. Martin will be leading this USC offense against a potent Arizona attack, and a chance to see lots of points lit up on that Coliseum scoreboard on Saturday night. Remember, 7:45 kick. JJ and I go on at 5:45 ESPN, Pac-12 After Dark. Hey, we're going to talk some hoops next. It's almost that time. You're listening to Trojans Live.